Here he is. Right, okay, I better stay on script, hey?
Yeah, over to you, Chris.
Okay, hi everybody. Nice to see you all again. Hi. Got some long distance joiners as well. Nice to see you. I was terribly over time last time I did one of these, so hopefully, Richard, you give me a sort of like a 5-minute bell or something, yeah? I'm set down to do 2 sessions. One is sort of like a prerequisite for the other. Well, let's just see how we go. A few assumptions that I'm making. Anyway, let's share my screen and hang on. Good. Get this thing going. Cool. It often takes a little while for the screen share to turn up. Hopefully it'll turn up soon. Let me know when you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, good. Well, that's a very exciting first slide, isn't it? Okie dokes. So just a bit of, setting the stage, if you like. Look, I'm assuming that everybody here is already ringing plain courses of these methods, grandsire doubles, plain bob doubles, plain bob minor, and hopefully ringing touches confidently and competently as well. So you know what to do when somebody else says bob or single. And you will also know that the extent of a 5-bell method is 120 changes, and the extent of a 6-bell method is 720 changes. But generally, the plain course doesn't get us terribly far towards that extent. So the plain course of grandsire doubles is only 30 changes. Not very good. Plain bob doubles 40, and plain bob minor 60 changes. So how we get there, how we get towards the full extent, is by using these extra things called bobs and singles. And you've heard people calling out bob and single and all that stuff, and you know what they mean. You know generally what it does. Also, I'm not sure if ever you've been in a tower where there's only like people rely on just one conductor or bob caller all the time. That can be a bit unfortunate if that person's not around on a practice night. And I suppose the way I fell into this kind of stuff was a long time ago in a tower far away where there was a bit of a flounce. And the one person who was the conductor just walked off, just had a big flounce, and that was that. Never saw them. So I looked in the diary and I thought, oh, well, it says if I do this, this, and this, then it ought to come round. And actually, since that time, I just think it's a great idea to encourage a few people to call and conduct. It just adds depth to your team. And personally, for the person who's the caller, it broadens and deepens your knowledge and understanding of a method. So it takes you out of yourself. You've got to think beyond your own blue line. A couple of things I'm not going to talk about. So I am just going to focus tonight on plain bob and grandsire. I'm really not going to talk about Stedman. I'm not going to talk about any treble bob methods. So just plain hunting stuff. I'm not going to say much about coursing order. I'm absolutely not going to go anywhere near half lead calls. and it's not about how to put people right. Okay, we're just focusing on the bob calling. Okay, I know that for some people it's just there's this great mystique about the whole thing. How do these people know when to put the calls in and how to put people right? What's that all about? So forget about the putting people right. But I just want to focus on bobs and singles and how to put them in and how to navigate your way through a touch. Yeah. Okay. And you probably know this, but in terms of practicalities, when do you actually say go? So you've got some rounds going on. You've placed your band so that you've got a fair chance of success in your touch. Wouldn't that be nice? And the treble has said, look, 2 triples going, she's gone. You wouldn't normally go straight off into the method until you, as the bob caller, are satisfied with the rhythm and the striking. You're satisfied that everybody's as ready as they can be. And then when you've got those satisfied, you're going to make the call just as the treble pulls off at a hand stroke, and then you go into the method at the next hand stroke. Yeah. So that's when you make the call. It would, I mean, obviously, like anything, there are exceptions, but I'm not going to talk about the exceptions. Okay. And for our purposes tonight, plain bob and grandsire calls only take effect at the lead end. So And I mentioned earlier, so plain bob doubles, 9/10 of it is plain hunting. The only excitement is in the 10th row of every lead. So a bob and a single only take effect at the treble's backstroke of its lead. So when do you actually make the call? When do you actually open your mouth and say bob or single? It's as the treble's approaching the lead. So in plain bob, you make the call as at the treble's backstroke as it's hunting down, fourth place at backstroke, third place at handstroke, second place at backstroke, bob. And then it takes effect at the next backstroke. Grandsire, you do it a little bit earlier because in grandsire, everybody starts with a dodge, whereas in plain bob, you end the lead with a dodge. So you make the call one blow earlier. So as the treble is hunting down, backstroke in fourth, handstroke in thirds, then you make the call straight away. Yeah. And finally, of course, don't forget to say that's all. You think to yourself, goodness me, I called my bobs, that's fantastic. And then you forget the crucial bit, which is to say, oh, that's all. And again, you say that at the treble's backstroke lead. So you've got yourself back into the plain course, or the last bob is called just before that lead end. And the treble leads handstroke, and at backstroke, the bells come into rounds with any luck, and you say that's all. A few more rounds, and then you say stand. So there we are, just some practicalities around that. Okay, rattling right along. So I'm going to talk about plain bob doubles, and then grandsire doubles, and then plain bob minor, and see how we go. So to move this panel a bit. Okay. All right. And I'm not sure, some of you might have already done this and be quite comfortable with it. Plain bob doubles, the cycle of work. Okay, seconds, 3/4 down, long fifths, 3/4 up, seconds, 3/4 down, long fifths, 3/4 up, seconds, etc., etc., etc. You will know, because you've probably rung in touches yourself, that if you're called to run in or called to run out or make fourths, that's, those are working bells. There's only one position which is unaffected at a bob, and that's whoever's making long fifths, 4 blows in fifths. So it only happens once every 4 leads. So happily, if you put in a bob at that point, when you're approaching long fifths, then the other 3 working bells cycle through, they get affected. And so it's another 40 changes before you'll be in the same position, and you say another bob, and then another 40 changes go by and you say another bob, and you'll be back into the plain course. So it's pretty handy to keep an eye on where the treble is as well. But crucial thing for this, and this is where I started, I thought, oh, okay, if that's what it says to do, then I'll do that. And it worked, miraculous. So as I'm hunting up, so I lead the lead, seconds at handstroke, thirds at backstroke, fourths at handstroke, I pull off, fourth at handstroke, and I call bob straight after that, just before I land in 5th place at the backstroke. And now the treble then leads while me, as observation bell, I do a handstroke in 5th, backstroke in 5th, and that's when all the fun happens below you. You'll remember this anyway. So in a plain course of plain bob doubles, when you're doing those long fifths, the bells below you are dodging in a plain course, so you strike over them A, B, A, B. But the effect of a bob means one of them runs in, one of them runs out, and one of them makes fourths. So instead of A, B, A, B, you, making your long fifths, will strike over bells in the order A, B, B, and then C. So BB is the bell that's making the fourths. So you do that 3 times. So you're hunting up all the way up, and then as you are approaching 5th, long fifths, you say bob, and then carry on. Of course, your cycle of work is unaffected. Yeah, you're at the observation bell. So you do 3/4 down, seconds, 3/4 up. Here comes the long fifths again. Open your mouth and say bob, etc., etc. So you do that 3 times, and then it'll be back in the plain course, and you should hear the music for that. And then the treble gets back to the lead when seconds is making seconds, and 3 is doing 3/4 up, and 4 is doing 3/4 down, and that's all. You'll also see in some of the notations that what the other bells are doing while you're being observation is somebody's running in, running out and making the fourth. So they do that in a cycle. So let's say you call a bob and you notice whoever it is making fourths. Then 40 changes later, you call another bob, and they're going to run in. And then 40 changes go by, and then they're going to run out. Yeah. So that's, if you like, that's circular. Run in, run out, make fourths. Run in, run out, make fourths. Somebody said a good way to remember that is IOM, Isle of Man, but it doesn't really work in Australia. But there you go. All right, so that's 120 changes, and easy peasy for the observation bell because they're ringing 3 plain courses. Boom, boom, boom. Let's say you haven't quite got that much time before service time, so you want to just do 60 changes. So here are a couple of choices for you. You can either do 3 alternate leads, and they can be either leave the first lead alone and Biro, thanks very much, Murray. So plain and then a bob at the next lead, and then leave one alone and then bob. Okay, so that'll be at the second lead, the fourth lead, and the sixth lead. So it's a little bit longer than your plain course of 40 changes. And what happens in that one is that the 4 has made fourths 3 times. You made the bob, yeah. Or you do it the other way around. Bob at the first lead, bob at the third lead, bob at the fifth lead, and let another plane go by, and it comes around. So that's 60 changes. Now I think I've got a little picture here, which is probably not very readable. Let's see. Yeah, you can't see that, can you? Too small. What you've got there is 3 columns, and each column is 40 changes. So you can see 1 lead, 2 leads. Where's my mouse? 1 lead, 2 leads, 3 leads, 4 leads, and at the end of that 4th lead, there's the 5, and that little dash represents a bob. And you can see that the 2 here has run out, the 4 has run in, and 3 has made fourths, and the 5 is observation. Middle column, we've got 1 lead, 2 leads, 3 leads, and at the end of the 4th lead, down the bottom there of the middle column, another bob is called, little red dash. And you can see this time the 4 is running out, the 3 is running in, and the 2 is making it. Yeah, 5 is still unaffected. The rightmost column, 4 more leads, 1, 2, 3, and the bottom there, bottom right, at the end of the last lead, there's another bob, and you'll see 3 runs out, 2 runs in, 4 makes it, and lo and behold, there's rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. I know this is going super fast, but there will be time for questions. So already 18 minutes past. Okay, so that's plain bob. Grandsire, a little bit shorter in the plain course. It's only 30 changes, 3 leads. So you've got 2 hunting bells and 3 working bells. So if you've not done any calling in Grandsire before, and I mean, there are all those rules, and you know all those rules about what to do if. Okay, so if there's a bob called and you're about to make thirds, or if you're in the hunt, what do you do to come out of the hunt? All that, you already know all that. Okay, but for you as the caller, here are a couple of suggestions. But to get started, there's this a couple of neat touches where you end up not quite observation, but what they call half hunt. What half hunt bells do is they alternate between ringing ordinary thirds, and then at the next lead, there's a call which forces them to do a double 4-5 up dodge. So instead of their normal single 4-5 down dodge, they do a double 4-5 up dodge at the call. And then the next lead, they make thirds. And then the lead after that, there's a call which forces another double 4-5 up. And then the next lead, there's thirds. And then the lead after that, there's a call, double 4-5 up. And that's it, 3 times. That'll be all. So you can do it either way. So you can either do it with the first lead as a plain. So where am I on the slide? I'm here, 60 changes. Either plain lead, bob, then a plain lead, bob, then a plain lead, bob. And in that example, the 5 is the half hunt bell. Or the other way around. So you do the bob on the first, third, and fifth leads, and then planes in between. And in that instance, the 3 is the half hunt bell. So if you're happy ringing around the back, then do it from the 5, or if you want a lighter bell, then do it from the 3, and it has the same effect. So it's an easy ride. So it's not observation, it's not the plain course, but you only do 2 bits of work: thirds and double 4/5 up, and thirds and double 4/5 up, and thirds and double 4/5 up, and that's all. And if you've got a bit of brain capacity left, you'll notice that the other 3 bells, the other 3 working bells, each alternate going in and out of the hunt. So at the first call, you're doing a double 4/5 up dodge with the bell that's coming out of the hunt with a double 4/5 down. And then 2 leads go by and you make another call. It'll be a different person that you're double dodging with, yeah, as they come out of the hunt. And then 2 more leads go by and the last of the calls. And it's a process of elimination. You'll think, oh, I know it's got to be that person because I've done a double dodge with the other 2. So you'll get each of them in turn. So that's quite handy. Lots of things to notice there, and to extend that to the extent of 120 changes that you can get in doubles, we add in these things called singles, and really it's just an extension of that half hunt model. So there are 6 options available to you in that case. There are 4 other standard 120s. I'm not going to talk about those. But so instead of plain bob, plain bob, plain bob, you'll see this bullet point here. I say plain bob, plain, and that becomes a single there halfway instead of a bob. And then I carry on and do the whole lot again. Plain bob, plain, and then a single at the end. So a single halfway and end. But of course, well, not of course, but it's handy to know that you can replace a bob with a single anywhere as long as it's 180 changes apart. So the basic template, plain bob, plain bob, plain bob, you can put the single in anywhere as long as you're consistent in the 2 halves of the 120. I didn't mean 180 changes apart. Sorry, I meant 60 changes apart. Sorry about that. So here, plain bob, plain, single, plain bob twice, or do the single at the beginning, plain single, plain bob twice. And just like I said with the 60, you don't have to start with a plain lead. You can start with a called lead, bob or single. So those are the 6 options, the 3 that I've got listed there, plus the three others where you start with a call rather than start with a plain. And as I said at the beginning, this is just about you putting the bobs in. It's not about putting people right. That's up to them. Okay, if they can't keep right, it's kind of not your concern. It'd be nice, but that's kind of an added bonus. Really, it's just about sticking to your guns. Pay attention to where you are in the cycle of work, and call out those calls, bobs, and singles confidently and competently. Oh, and that picture is, you can't see that, so I'll move on. So the last little bit in this first half hour, plain bob minor, and I don't have a picture for this one, so when we move from doubles to minor, it's quite handy to learn about calling positions. Tend not to use, apart from in, out, and make it, stuff like that in doubles. We start seeing other terminology, and we'll come to that in the second half of this session when we look at the diary. So very useful for minor and then for higher numbers, usually defined in reference to the tenor, but not necessarily so. So the ones that you will find, so for instance, in plain bob minor, the tenor is at home. Okay, we start and end a plain course when the tenor's just done its 5/6 down dodge. So a bit of jargon, that's called the home position, usually denoted with an H. On higher numbers, whether it's 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, it's the last working bell. Yeah. So in triples, it'd be the 7. In major, it'd be the 8. Yeah, etc. Royal, it's the 10. So nth place bell, the last working bell. That's their home position. That's home. Why is wrong called wrong? Don't know. Because it's not home. It's one off. Yeah. So so the 5 starts it's just done its 5/6 up dodge. So when the 6 gets to that place, which is the penultimate lead, it's one off its home position. So it's called the wrong. So it's not quite home, it's wrong. or it's n-1. So if I was ringing royal, 10 bells, then that ninth place bell is the wrong position. Yeah. If I was ringing major, it would be 7th place bell. In minor, it's when I've become 5th place bell. And for the purposes of completeness, not that we don't call them a middle really in plain bob minor, but n-2 is the middle position. So if we're ringing major, 8 bells, then n-2 is 6. So whenever that bell becomes 6th place bell, that's the middle. And a couple of others. Before is the word we use when you call to run out at a bob. So it's usually a B, but sometimes it's also noted as an O or out. Running in at a bob is an I, in. And making the bob, making fourths, is sometimes called fourths, or the numeral fourths, or the Roman numeral IV. There we are. Nothing like consistency, is there? Anyway, so I'm just going to talk about wrongs and homes in the next slide, but there you are. And obviously these slides will be available in the recording, and I suppose I'm happy to send them around as well via Richard if anybody wants. Okay, some nice touches. So we talked about, in plain bob doubles, we talked about, you call yourself in long fifths 3 times, and it's 3 plain courses, which gives you 120 changes. Well, the same thing kind of works in plain bob minor. If you call yourself in the home position 3 times, it's effectively 3 plain courses, you'll be unaffected, and it's 180 changes, which is good. So the plain course is 60, so we've got 3 times that, which is good. And that goes for about, I don't know, 8 minutes, I guess, something like that. Quite handy. So you call, if it's you, whenever you're in the 5-6 down dodge, you open your mouth and you say bob, and you just carry on the cycle of work. So you've just done 5-6 down, then you do 3-4 down, seconds, 3-4 up, 5-6 up, 5-6 down, etc. And you can extend that easily to 360, just like we did in the grandsire, by changing one of the bobs to a single, say halfway an end. Yeah, so you get to the end of a plain, let's say I'm ringing the 6, hypothetically. So I get to the end of a plain course, 5-6 down, I say bob, carry on another 5 leads, time in the same position again, say bob, carry on another 5 leads, get to the same position, I say single, and then repeat that. So I've basically doubled it from 180 to 360. A fairly common one that you'll see everywhere, and we're going to see it in the next session as well, is 120 changes, 5 minutes worth of ringing, and it just goes wrong home, wrong home. So what the heck does that mean? So let's say I'm the 6. It works for any bell, but for the purposes of this, let's say I'm ringing the 6, the tenor, 5-6 down, and we say go. Next piece of work is 5-6 up, then 3-4 up, then seconds, then 3-4 down, then 5-6 down. So the very first lead, if I'm the tenor, the very first lead is my wrong position, 5-6 up. So I say bob, and then I let another 4 leads go by until I get to the 5-6 down dodge, and I open my mouth and say bob again. And that's the course end. So then I do that all again. So only 1 lead goes by, and then I say bob further wrong, and then 4 more leads go by, and then at my home position I say bob. So it's equivalent to 2 plain courses. Sorry, that was a bit incoherent, but there we are. 1929, according to the clock. So a couple of NBs. When you first get started doing this, obviously you're keeping your own track of the cycle of work. You can't lose track of that. Otherwise, it's all gone up the spout. So you must always stick to your cycle of work, whatever else is going on around you. Absolutely important to keep an eye on the treble as well. So it's all very well in bob doubles counting your way up to long fifths and opening your mouth and say bob, but it also helps that you can see the treble hunting down, because you know that's, as the treble's backstroke in seconds, that's when you say bob. So you've got 2 things going on. In bob doubles, you're hunting up to long fifths, and you're also you're watching. You've passed the treble. You can spot that they're heading towards the lead. Some compositions just say, look, count 4 leads and say bob, or count 5 leads and say bob. It's a little bit fatal to be counting leads, because you're already counting your way up to the back, down to the front, up to the back, dodge, and all that sort of stuff. And having to count leads as well is just, well, It's very easy to lose count. That's all I can say. It's very easy to lose count. And there we are. Look at that, Richard. 7:30, and that's all. Oh,
Take timing, Chris.
thank you so much.
Thanks. Do you have any questions for Chris? I'll just go back to the gallery view. Oh, yeah.
Chris, in the grandsire touches, you didn't mention the calling positions.
No, it's actually, they tend not to use calling positions in they don't use in, out, and home and wrong. It only tends to happen in methods of 6 bells or higher.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Just one comment I would make. Oh, sorry, it's back on. Going to the grandsire doubles touches, something that I think is very useful and helpful is when you want to call 120 and you're adding the single, where you call the single is always with the same bell. So if you can't remember where you're up to and whether you need to call a single or a bob, just pick one other bell at random and use that as your single bell, so that you come to double dodging with that bell, make it a single, and every other time, if it's a different bell, make it a bob. Because sometimes I can't count to 3, so I use that one a lot.
Yeah, good tip.
I just wanted to clarify one thing about the terminology. So we talked about calling the bob, and we talked about when the bob takes effect. So, and when you showed us the drawing of plain bob doubles,
Yep.
And you had a little red line marked where the bob happens.
Correct.
But that's of course not where you call it. So you
Correct.
call it 2 blows before that.
That's a good spot, Natalie. Absolutely.
Right.
So there's a whole pull in between the call and the effect of the call. And the usual notation is that that little dash, which is a bob, is shown at the row that's affected. That's the resultant row.
Right. So you just go back 2 lines from that to where.
Yeah, and then that's where you open your mouth.
Thanks.
Cool. So I think next, unless there are any questions, next Chris is going to talk about how to read touches from the diary. That's right, Chris?
Yeah, and I'm going to again keep it hopefully short and sweet. Hey, lots of.
I'm going to stop the recording for the YouTube purposes.